Good day to all. Welcome to Extreme Recap. American immigrant Ian leads a fairly standard life in Britain. He plays hockey for a successful team. The referee continues to make decisions against Ian's team, despite the fact that they are not doing particularly well right now. Ian feels betrayed by his teammates because they didn't finish the game on time and lost the match after the game was over. He is fortunate to have Jenny as his girlfriend, who immediately visits to comfort him, and they leave the house together. When they get to Jenny's house, Ian notices that the board's clock is still set to the game time. Ian acknowledges that he has been concerned about something all day and brings up the clock. He is comforted once more by Jenny, and they begin to kiss. However, her parents suddenly appear at the window and demand that she enter. After that, Ian quickly drives away after noticing how creepy the neighborhood is. He has to stop the car after a few minutes. He waits for a few seconds when a figure on the ground blocks the road, but nothing happens. Under the rain, he goes to check on the being, but as soon as he touches it, the figure shakes and startles him, and he runs back to his car right away. He tries to call for help, but it doesn't work. He also notices that the figure has left the road when he looks up. Ian is suddenly grabbed and thrown to the ground by a terrifying black monster as it claws its way through the window. The boy is then dragged to the rails of the train and held there until the train comes to run him over. In that instant, when Ian wakes up, he finds himself in an office and looks older. Ian picks up the phone when it rings, only to hear the other person hang up. He is confused for a moment, but boss quickly reminds him that he needs those spreadsheets. And Ian quickly returns to his job. Jenny, his coworker, shows up at some point to drop off additional paperwork for him to complete. Additionally, she claims that she will be chastised by her family for remaining single and unable to have children, so she is not looking forward to the weekend. With Ian working, time goes by. Furthermore, at the end of the day, on his way out, he is prepared to return home when a man rushes to join him at the elevator. Ian observes how sweaty and nervous he looks when they reach the first floor. The man runs away, acting as though he is afraid, and he hits a lot of boxes. When Ian gets outside, he finds that the elevator rider has contracted a disease. Additionally, he was observed by the crowd. A man has a fleeting resemblance to me. The man's face suddenly becomes blurry, and Ian swears that there are black veins where the man is touching the sick employee. But Ian puts it down to his imagination and walks away. When he gets home, he has a strong drink, watches the street, and he notices strange shadows in the building next to him. Medea, his wife, startles him out of nowhere. Who brings him quickly into the room so they can have a sexy time together. Medea can tell Ian is distracted after they share a passionate moment. He then tells Diane, a coworker, that he saw a stranger who reminded him of his former hockey referee. Ian could have sworn he had already told Medea that he used to play hockey, so Medea is surprised to hear that. As a result, he sets out to find his senior yearbook to support his claim. However, he is disappointed to discover that he is not in the team picture when he finds it. Because he has memories of things that didn't actually happen, Ian begins to experience an emotional crisis. However, despite Medea's efforts to soothe him with ice cream, he is unable to fall asleep. Ian hears a voice saying he realizes it's past the point of no return as a shadow runs outside the window and afterward onto his wall. When Ian goes downstairs to check the next day, he finds nothing. When Ian wakes up and takes the bus instead of walking to work, he finds that his watch has stopped and two men board the bus who resemble his former hockey teammates. Ian rushes to follow the pair as soon as he sees them get off. But before they leave, the guys give him the finger. Ian meets Gray as he runs down the street. Gray recognizes Ian by name and tells him they need to go somewhere safe. After noticing that another man was creepily looking at Ian agrees to go with Gray into an alley. Gray explains why Ian's eyes have stopped moving. That indicates their arrival. He doesn't say who they are, but he says that they are after Ian and that they were the ones who forced him into a new world. Gray affirms that both lives are real and knows every detail. He also explains that if he dies again, he will simply be pushed into another alternate life, and they will continue to murder him every day, furious at the lack of accurate information. Gray is pushed against the wall by Ian, and the black creature from the day before suddenly emerges from a hole and pulls Gray inside. Ian flees right away and comes into contact with a man wearing black holes. However, things return to normal. His cell phone won't work if he blinks. Therefore, Ian tries using a public phone, but all he hears is creepy static. Then Ian resumes his run and returns to his apartment, where he informs Medea that he is the target of a murder attempt. He suddenly hears something. He is terrified when he looks downstairs and sees a shadow approaching. Medea is struck by Ian as he quickly locks the door and steps back. A splash of blood appears on the door at that very instant. Because she is also one of them, Ian looks down to see that Medea has stabbed him with her claw. Before dropping him on the ground, she gives him a kiss and says that he shouldn't have remembered before cutting his throat open. He and the other person wake up in a car, almost hitting the truck. It turns out that Ian is a taxi driver in this life, and Jenny is currently using his service. This would not have happened if his passenger hadn't warned him. They have a conversation after Ian apologizes for the interruption, earning Ian feel déjà vu. When they arrive at Jenny's family home, she invites them in after she recounts how his family pressured her to get married. However, because he thinks it's inappropriate, at least Jenny gets him to wait for a cup of coffee. While Ian stands by, a mysterious man walks by, he observes. After that, he begins to observe ominous shadows on the windows of the neighbor. He is suddenly touched behind the back by someone. When Ian leaps, Jenny notices that she is scared. When Ian gets into his car, the clock has stopped. He gets the coffee and drives away. Additionally, when he reaches the downtown area, Gray waves to him. When he realizes that he knows Gray but does not know from where Gray touches Ian, he gets angry and immediately stops the car and goes looking for him with a wrench in his hand, to show him a few flashbacks to previous lives and to tell him to protect Jenny or else she will be hurt too. Gray has a chance to vanish when Ian suddenly hears a noise and turns around. In that instant, Ian is killed when yet another black monster appears on a roof and jumps on top of him. This time, Ian wakes up in a job agency and recalls his previous lives. Jenny shows up before he can look for clues. She is also attempting to assist him in finding work in this life. Ian joins in, but Jenny notices that he's nervous, so he says he's in danger and admits it. Jenny doesn't believe him when he says he's been drinking again. However, the clock stops behind the door at that point. The same mysterious individual that Ian has observed in his previous two lives appears again, but this time he also possesses a black claw. Ian starts to run away from the monster, noticing its shadow on the stairs and taking the elevator instead. The beast, on the other hand, suddenly penetrates the elevator ceiling. Therefore, Ian must again run away. He confronts Jenny and informs her that she is not safe. However, Ian recognizes the additional men from his previous lives when they appear behind the door at that precise moment. To get to the parking lot, he immediately ascends the fire stairs, as the men transform into black shadows that chafe throughout. He eventually follows Ian to the street, where he manages to board a taxi just in time to avoid being grabbed by a creature. Before the car can complete a few blocks, a beast leaps onto it and begins to stab the roof. Ian makes a hasty exit from the cab only to be abruptly struck by a passing vehicle and scream in the street. Medea and the two men who kill Ian again approach Ian. Ian discovers that he is an addict in this life when he wakes up the following morning in a shoddy apartment. A neighbor is calling to complain that music is playing quite loudly. Jenny lives downstairs and can also hear the music when Ian opens the door. She is so disturbed by the injection on his arm that she leaves when Ian tries to communicate with her. When Jenny opens the door to her apartment a few seconds later, she sees him scaredly trying to enter. Jenny defends herself with a knife because she believes Ian is an insane drug addict, while Ian tries to jog her memory. His injection wound is bleeding and making him dizzy, so he falls to the ground. Jenny runs to the door to get help, but he closes it right away and starts talking about things from previous lives, like Jenny's family, that he shouldn't be aware of. Jenny experiences a few flashbacks as a result of these words. Be that as it may, before she can comprehend what's happening, a beast paw starts obliterating the entryway. As Ian pushes Jenny away, he notices that his arm is starting to get black veins. The beast enters through the door at that point. When they reach the ground, two monsters surround Ian, so Ian grabs Jenny and they escape together through the window and the emergency stairs. Additionally, As a means of self-defense, he takes a glass. However, Medea uses the glass against his own hand before grabbing him from behind. After that, she pushes up against the wall and is about to hurt him, but Jenny cuts Medea in the shoulder with her knife first. Because of this, the media's hold is lessened, and Ian and Jenny can now escape. The pair makes their way through the city before reaching the subway station, where Jenny wraps Ian's wound with a piece of fabric that she steals from a homeless man. She additionally concedes that she currently can recall the past lives they went through. The train arrives at that point, and the couple board, agreeing to continue working together until the end. A guard also comes in at the next station and spends some time with the pair before getting off at the next one. There he meets with Medea and her men to give them the data. Jenny has fallen asleep a few stations later. And when Ian turns around, Gray is seated next to him. Gray appears to be very ill. Gray is also one of the creatures, which are known as harvesters and thrive on people's fear, according to Ian. Gray transforms into a beast and terrorizes the elderly man who boards the train at the following station, capitalizing on his fear. As the person takes off, taking care of permits dim to look solid once more. Additionally, he explains that it is addictive to feed on human fear. Because he was able to injure them, some harvesters have begun to hunt for it, and as a result, they switched from parasites to predators. They don't want him to remember how he hurt them, or else it will be the end of the race. Gray reveals Ian's past as a harvester at that point. He was, in fact, the most powerful. Gray makes the announcement that they have been located before vanishing after they hear a noise. He wakes Jenny up, and as they try to get out of the train, the two hockey players block their path. The boy drops his phone when the duo runs back to where they came from by accident and colliding with him. The boy stops to grab his phone and is jumped on by when Ian tells him to run, who pierced his fear with its claw and immediately hurt him. Ian and Jenny continue to run, but they miss the following train. Ian is thrown against the wall by a harvester who appears suddenly. As Medea gets closer and tells Ian that he's weak because he hasn't been eating, after that, Medea alters her hand and leaps on the pair to shackle them to the wall. She teases Ian for caring about a human and kisses him as his veins begin to turn black once more, gaining control of his mind. Jenny is thrown to the ground by Medea, and Ian is let go. His face is slowly changing into his harvester form. Jenny begins to choke as Ian climbs on top of her, as Medea instructs him to eat her. But just as he starts to take in some of her fear, she stops. When Ian sees Jenny in pain, he snaps out of it. He apologizes before pushing Jenny and himself off the platform, realizing that there is only one way out. A train can thus kill them and transport them to another life. When he finally does, he finds himself tethered to a hospital bed this time. Ian screams for help as he is being tormented by a variety of devices that are attached to his body. However, when the nurse Jenny arrives to check on him, an illusion only reveals a commanding man. Medea appears after Jenny has left and reveals an old memory to him. She wants to know how Ian killed another harvester because it shouldn't have been possible at the time. Medea, as additional men arrive and lead you into a surgery room, where Medea begins receiving poisonous injections that cause him to faint. Ian is back in the room the next time he wakes up, and a child patient is in the bed next to Ian's. Ian refuses to harm a child, despite Medea's reminders that he is weak and needs to be fed. Therefore, in order to frighten the child and capitalize on his fear, the other two harvesters reveal their true identities. Doctors and nurses arrive to check on him after hearing the children's screams, but they are unable to see what's actually going on. After falling asleep once more, Ian wakes up to find Jenny comforting him. When she returns, Ian's mind is filled with a lot of memories, both of his previous lives and images of the suffering Medea has caused him while he was sleeping and when he wakes up. Medea is giving him a kiss this time before she vanishes. Gray is the next person to appear, and he explains that Ian became human when he fell, appearing frail and wrinkled. To Jenny, he was able to kill another harvester because of his love for the girl. Additionally, she makes him a better man, so he needs to survive this to protect her. Gray once had a crush on a human woman. He had also discovered a new life in her love, too. Gray offers himself because he doesn't have much time, but the harvester has found her and killed her because Ian doesn't want to eat humans. Regardless, Ian accepts Gray's offer and feeds on him, causing Gray's wounds to heal immediately. When Medea's men later go to check on Ian, they find the artifacts broken and the room empty. A monster behind the curtain stabs one of the harvesters as he is distracted by checking the scene, instantly killing him. Then it is made clear. This is Ian, unleashing his abilities, and when the other guy tries to flee, Ian jumps on him and kills him as well. Jenny does not pay attention to the shadows that follow her around the hospital as she continues to work. Soon after, Ian also begins to follow her. Ian also eliminates harvesters who attempt to harm Jenny. Before following Jenny, he kills one in the archive room and another in the corridors. There, some harvesters attempt to attack her after emerging from hiding. However, Ian appears and orders her to flee. Then Ian continues to kill every one of his adversaries, utilizing the force of adoration to effectively take them out, with a couple of quick hits. After that, when Ian goes looking for Jenny, he finds that Medea has taken her. Medea hits Ian instead of pushing Jenny away when Ian tries to attack her, transforming him back into a human as she hits him from reality to reality and in quick, painful jumps. When they get back to the hospital, Medea grabs Jenny once more and uses her as a shield after going through each of the Ian's lives and jumping on the train. When Ian realizes that there is only one way to put an end to the Medea for good, he stabs Jenny with his own claw, which also manages to stab the Medea. Ian recalls Gray's claim that finding love gave him a new life as Medea disintegrates. Ian uses the power of his feelings to heal Jenny's wounds and tells her he loves her with his knowledge. The couple is back in their previous circumstances some time later. Additionally, without the interference of harvesting referees, Ian can win his hockey match this time. I am there when Jenny comes to wish him well after the game. I'm grateful you made him. However, Jenny is unable to comprehend because she does not recall what took place at that precise moment. After Ian spots the enigmatic individual, he follows him into an abandoned area, where the individual reveals that he is a harvester. Ian pulls out his claw right away, ready to fight it. Turn on notifications, please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.